Did you know Tom Brady wasn't initially in Madden 2002? Well, he was in Madden 2001, but he wasn't even given a name. He was in Madden 2002 for the GameCube. Since we all know what he's going to be in the future, let's go ahead and start him over Bledsoe. Let the dynasty begin. First year as a starter, and let's see how it goes. 5-11. I really didn't have high hopes, but considering how bad this team is right now, they don't have a running game, their offensive line is terrible, their defense has a lot of holes. I have a lot of work to do on this team. Brady performed meh in his first year. It looks like he was injured and Bledsoe played. Those sacks have me worried. What happened to Terry Glenn? Brady needs a new contract, and now I don't have to worry about him for 7 years, taking a pay cut for the good of the team. I really should bring back Glenn. Even though we had two 1,000-yard receivers, I just feel better with Glenn. I did some value signings in free agency, 2 offensive linemen because this line is terrible, and I also signed a defensive end. I do expect the first 2 or 3 years to develop a team around Brady. Clearly he's not as good as he is in real life, but I think I can make it work. With the first 3 picks in the draft, I selected a left outside linebacker, right tackle, and a tight end to fill holes. I think this is going to be a multi-year rebuild before we're competitive. But how is Brady so far compared to his real-life counterpart? Close. Almost identical. Almost. Going into year 2 of the Brady era, there is something I have to do. Bye-bye Bledsoe. I'm trading him to the Texans. I wanted to give him away in the expansion draft, but I really wanted that first-round pick. Do you think year 2 is going to be better than year 1? Well, we improved. I did say it was going to be a 2-3 year project before we're good. Brady played pretty well considering he's 54 overall. Don't pay too much attention to the interceptions. I still need to fix the offensive line. Brady is not going to last the next 10 years behind it. Dang, Bledsoe was out for the season. We robbed Houston. We still don't have a running game, but it's getting better. Terry Glenn led the team in touchdowns. This defense was snatching passes left and right. Look at those interceptions. I think we're close to the defense being complete. This offseason, we're gonna finish that. Never mind, I think it's gonna take a little bit longer because I'm not going to bring back Willis McGinnis. I am going to bring back Teddy Bruschi though. I probably shouldn't have done this, but I made a splash in free agency, signing Michael Strahan, Bryant Westbrook, and Johnny Morton. I feel like we need another weapon for Brady. Michael Strahan is Michael Strahan. You don't need me to explain that. I ended up letting Buckley go. He was already regressing, and Westbrook he's gonna fit fine. Thanks to the Texans draft pick, I selected 3 defensive players with my first 3 picks. We're now getting to a point where the defense isn't going to be the reason why we're not going to win. We did improve last season from 5-11 to 6-10. Can we do it again? We got our first non-losing season, and that means next year we're pushing for the playoffs. Well, actually, looking at the schedule, we won 5 straight, and at one point we were 8-4 before collapsing. Well, that's great. It's nice to know Tom Brady doesn't have the clutch gene in Madden 2002. What is going on with this division? We were still last. Tom Brady played about as well as he did last season. I think we're going to start focusing on getting him better weapons. He's basically the Jameis Winston of quarterbacks at this point. On the bright side, the offensive line might actually be good. Look at Bledsoe having a bounce back year. I think we'd be in the playoffs if he was a starter. I think we'd also be in the playoffs if we had better receivers. The team is at a point where the defense isn't the problem, but we are turning it over more than I'd like. We have 2 running backs to resign, and I'm only going to bring back one of them. That's going to be Redmond. He's our first 1,000-yard rusher, and he deserved it. The run game was better than the past couple of years, but if it wasn't for big boy Damian Woody making those holes for him, that wouldn't have happened. Plus, protecting Brady. I'm giving him a new contract too. A few years ago, Ted Johnson had 15 sacks. I'm not going to bring him back. I'm also going to let Johnny Morton and Strahan go because they were just 1-year rentals. You know what? I think this year I'm going to skip free agency. There's nothing that I really like. Okay, I caved. I drafted a running back with our first draft pick. With Falk gone, we needed a backup. And who knows, maybe he'll start. I also drafted Teddy Bruschi's replacement with the second pick. Oh, and I finally addressed free safety. Overall, not a bad draft. We're not done yet, though. I said we're making a push, and we're pushing. I traded away Terry Glenn and a first and a third for Randy Moss and a third and a fourth. Now we got our true number one for Tom Brady. We're still not done. And with Strahan gone, we now have a hole at left end, and I gave up a second, a third, and a fourth for Bryant. The draft next year might suck, but we're pushing. We are pushing. This is now year 4. And we've improved each year, minus the collapse last season. We got our first winning season at 9-7, and well, we collapsed again, but we were 7-2 at one point, so I guess Tom doesn't really have the clutch gene like I feared. Also, this division is still very tight. By far, this was the best season Tom Brady has had since I started. Maybe, just maybe, we can win a Super Bowl with him. He was actually the 4th best quarterback in the AFC. We had another 1,000-yard rusher, and this time it was a rookie who went off. I guess he was worth the first-round pick. Randy Moss also was absolutely worth that trade. If it means Tom Brady continues to play like he did, his numbers don't matter then. The one downside I've noticed so far this year is the defense seems to have regressed a bit. I have to sign 3 of our 5 starting offensive linemen. This has been the best we've been on the line, and I have to keep them together. But I am going to let go of Matt Light. I did trade for Bryant at the beginning of the year, the same with Randy Moss, but Bryant's on the final year of his contract, so I guess I'll give him a new one. Just a heads up, I signed Mickens in free agency. I did it because our corners are regressing, and they're on the final year of their contracts too, so I kind of want to get ahead of that before it's too late. Look, when you only have 4 picks and they're all after the first 100 selections, there's really not much you can do. I knew this was going to be a weak draft for me, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But, I'll take Moss and Bryant every time. We've gone 8-8 and we've gone 9-7. We have to make the playoffs, right? What the hell happened? Belichick quit on us. I guess he doesn't believe in Brady. I don't blame him. This has been the worst record we've had since we've started. And we're also going to need a new coach. Brady wasn't even terrible, like he wasn't good. He regressed back to the mean, but, he's back to his Winston level of play. The running game also had a down year, but it's not that bad. It's not terrible. Though Randy Moss performed pretty much the same as last year. We don't seem to be making plays on defense like we used to do. I just completely baffled. Like, how do we do so poorly? Let's not pretend that Belichick was a mastermind of a coach at this time in his career. He was a head coach with Cleveland. He was promising, and he was promising here. And then, like most of his seasons, his career collapsed when it mattered the most, at least in this series. Now, to replace him. This would have been in 2006, and the most promising coach at that time, Sean Payton. Let's see if he performs any better. I'm gonna have a lot of money to work with. Half of the cap. Pretty much half of the cap. First move I did, re-signed our tight end. Dude has been a stud. He's from Belichick's first draft class in the series. I'm also going to re-sign our right guard. Last year we needed to re-sign 3 offensive linemen. Look, I'm doing what I can to keep this offensive line intact. Our first ever draft pick, Marvin Eden. Oh, he's coming back. Rob Abdullah is also coming back. We've developed our draft picks really well. One final signing, Lawyer Malloy. I'm bringing him back for one more season. Oh, I'm letting Vinatieri go. Dude's washed. We spent about half of our cap on our guys, and in free agency, as you can see, I'm splurging a bit. So we signed everyone that I wanted. We got a kicker to replace Vinatieri, another weapon for Brady, another Moss joins the team, Delta O'Neal to help out at the corner position, and lastly Dwayne Martin to help the weakest linebacking position that we have, and yet we still have $17 million left for the draft. Okay, so it turns out we have the first pick in the draft, and I do not like my options. I decided I'm not going to use the pick and trade it to Pittsburgh for 2 of their corners. They're young, I need help at the position since it's probably the weakest on defense. After signing everyone, this may be the lowest I've ever let the cap go. The window of opportunity for the playoffs is definitely closing. This is going to be the first year with Peyton as the coach, and hopefully Tom Brady doesn't force him to quit. Well, a heck of a lot better than 3-13. They were actually 3-9 before finishing with 4 straight wins. It's a strong finish, something Belichick doesn't know anything about. Speaking of Belichick, he quit on his second team. Tom Brady had a resurgence. Hey now. And he got injured. Wait, does that mean he's better than the backups? The running game continues to be pretty much what it is. Whoa, Randy Moss went off. This was the Moss I was expecting when we signed him. It took 3 years, but the man has finally arrived. I'm still struggling to get multiple players with double-digit sacks, but our new acquisitions we got this offseason combined for 12 interceptions, so that's nice. Of course, we have to re-sign Randy Moss after that season. He's gonna break our piggy bank, but it's worth it. It didn't help that Santana Moss was a huge flop, which means we're also gonna have to bring back Mark Lewis. We also have Woody, our center, to re-sign, and our right tackle. This is already expensive. Plus, we need to re-sign Richard Seymour, and we need to re-sign our 2 corners I traded for the last offseason. Which means Lawyer Malloy is definitely not coming back, at least not for that price. That also means I'm skipping free agency this year. I just don't got the money. And going straight to the draft, I didn't have the money not to sign everyone. We might be in trouble. We've only had 1 winning season in the series. Is this the year we do it again? Looks like we've regressed to the mean. This division really sucks though. Brady also looks like he regressed to the mean. He's only had 2 pretty good seasons so far anyways. The running game was awful. Randy Moss also regressed to the mean. Didn't even have a double-digit sack leader this season, but Delta O'Neal did go off. William Atkins had a down year this season, but he didn't even get 200 touches. I think it's time we focus more on the ground and pound game. He's coming back. We have a 99 overall stud that we need to re-sign. Oh, and his buddy at defensive tackle, Bettis, is also going to need a new contract. This team is getting really expensive. Joyner, our free safety, also returning to the team. We spent $20 million on 4 players. That means Plummer is going to have to take over at left guard. Martin has outdeveloped Murphy at right outside linebacker. Stellar signing. Mickens is going to be let go, while Akers, he's washed. Money is definitely becoming an issue now with all of these high overall players. I guess for the second straight year, I'm just going to skip free agency. I did trade Bryant to the Colts to free up some space and, to get some depth. Because after I signed all my drafted players, we have just $1.65 million to work with. After seeing what we've done so far the past couple of seasons, I don't really have high hopes. We finished with our best record. Well, technically, our best record. We didn't win 4 straights, but we did win 3 in a tie. That tie with Miami allows both New England and Miami to make the playoffs. So suck it, Jets! Tom Brady had his best season in his career here, and does it compare to his real life counterpart? Probably not, but it doesn't really matter because after 8 years, we're finally in the playoffs, baby. Even with these numbers, he was the 4th best quarterback in the AFC. That's whack, yo. We gave Atkins a new contract, and I said we needed to focus on the running game more. Turns out we had a runner-up for AFC MVP in our backfield the entire time. He did win AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Randy Moss continues to play consistently well, and I'm very happy with this offense. Our defensive line performed pretty good, and we couldn't really force turnovers, but they did good enough. More importantly, we'll see you all in the wild card. It's been a long time. Well, for you guys, it's probably been like 10 minutes, but for me, it's been forever. We're in the playoffs and against the Dolphins. I don't control the teams, I just watch, and we're gonna see if Brady can be Brady and recreate his dynasty. So that first half was terrible. No, there's nothing to see. Dolphins kick the field goal. They lead 3-0 going into the second half. Dolphins have the ball, and with pressure getting there, Kennedy gets the sack, forcing them to punt. Santana Moss is back to return it, and from around his own 40, he hasn't been the best signing for us, but he puts this team in a great position with that return. If you questioned how bad the offenses were, this is how bad they were. On the same drive, they pitch it to Atkins. The AFC Offensive Player of the Year finds a hole and bursts through for a big gain. The drive ended up stalling out after that run, and New England would settle for a field goal to tie things at 3. Now, it looks like New England has the momentum. They have the ball back, and Sam Madison picks off Tom Brady and takes it to the house to make it a 10-3 game. Now, both offenses have been terrible. Time is running out, and New England needs a touchdown to tie. A run by the fullback gets him 8 yards on the ground. Before the third quarter end, Tom Brady will find his tight end Moy to get down to midfield. Tom Brady is beginning to cook. Start of the fourth quarter and finds his other tight end Jones. They even get their running back involved, who fights hard to get the first down on the ground. Third down, same drive, back to Atkins, but can't get the first down, meaning they're going to have to go for it on fourth down, and Brady would toss it to Atkins in the flat for the first. The momentum is all on New England now as Mark Lewis drops the easy pass. It's third down, Brady moves in the pocket, finds Moss, who is tackled by his shoestrings to prevent a touchdown. The following play, Brady goes back to Moss in the end zone, and he can't keep both feet in bounds. Incomplete. Second and goal, Brady standing like a statue in the pocket and throws to the end zone where Mark Lewis makes the catch in coverage to tie the game at 10. Vintage Brady. Now the Dolphins have a minute left to finish the game, and they fumble the ball and lucky enough to keep it. New England, pretty solid on defense, but on this play they let the receiver get behind him for a big gain. Then, on this play, they give the quarterback way too much time in the pocket to find his receiver, in which I'd argue he was out of bounds. The following play, they would find their tight end to set him up for the game-winning field goal. The kicker is out there, and in the pouring rain, freezing weather, he sends his team to the divisional round. We were one and done in the playoffs, losing 13-10, but I'm just happy we finally made the playoffs. The season's over for us. We need to resign our guys, and look, we got $40 million to work with, and of course Brady needs his 7-year contract. We got a lot of big names to resign. Our tight end is coming back. Our right guard is also coming back to keep Brady upright. 2 of our linebackers are going to need new contracts, as well as a strong safety. Screw it, I'm going to give the punter a new contract. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done that. Then I decided to re-sign our left tackle. I didn't want to because he was pretty expensive, but I didn't really have anyone behind him, which means we're now down to $10 million, and Santana Moss won't be back. It also means I'm skipping free agency again for the 3rd straight year. And during this season's draft, I'm not going to be able to sign everyone. I was only able to sign the first 4 picks. I don't have any money to sign anyone else. We went from $40 million to $450,000. It's now or never before I decide to just blow up the team. Look, we made the playoffs last year. We're broke this year, but we're going to make it back to the playoffs, right? We have our first 10-win season, and we were 8-2 at one point, so not giving me high hopes for the playoffs doesn't matter. We got a bye week. But dude, this division is way too tight. Every year, everyone is so good. We got another pretty good season out of Brady. I think he's finally found his footing in the NFL. It just took about 9 years. William Atkins had another fantastic year, but he's gonna miss the playoffs. This is the first year Randy Moss didn't have 1,000 yards. Well, at least with us. Well, Kennedy had another 10-sack season, and our secondary is snatching passes. Well, we would be scary in the playoffs if it wasn't for the fact that we have 3 big names out. We're back in the playoffs, this time the divisional round against the Peyton Manning-less Colts. Yep. That's the score I imagined when I saw that Manning was out. So let's go straight to the 4th quarter. Colts still lead 3-0, and Atkins may be out, but it doesn't mean that his backups aren't putting in work with this big catch right here. Then Gaffney gets a good run on the play after. Same drive, big 4th down, and Jones, his other tight end opposite of Moy, makes the catch. One shoestring tackle from a touchdown. The drive did stall out, and New England would tie the game up with a field goal. The Colts do have time left for a game-winning kick as they find James to get right to the sticks. Following play, instead of running, they pass, and that would be incomplete, giving the Patriots one last chance to win it in regulation. Can Tom Brady have a game-winning drive? He squeezes this one into double coverage to Jones. There's less than 2 minutes left near midfield. Tom Brady finds Randy Moss to get closer to field goal range. Remember, I told you the backup running backs have been putting in work. They do it again here, setting them up in great field goal position. New England would send out the kicker to take the lead, and they're now leading 6-3. It isn't over yet. The Colts could still tie. And on the first play, they were able to get past the 30 with this pass. With 7 seconds left, they find Marvin Harrison, who fights to get past the 40, leaving 2 seconds left on the clock. On the final play, to determine who goes to the AFC Championship game, Wayne makes the catch, but tackled well short of a touchdown. New England is now 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Is it destiny that Tom Brady will go to the Super Bowl? It's now the AFC Championship game, and it's against the number 1 seed San Diego Superchargers. Last 2 playoff games have been pretty low scoring, so hopefully this one isn't too much of a snooze fest. First play of the game, they hand it off to LT, right side, on a sweep, gets tackled behind the line, and he fumbles it, and it's recovered by New England. It is destiny. Worst case scenario, they kick a field goal. Best case, they score a touchdown, and Statue Brady, standing in the pocket, not even flinching, throws a laser to the end zone for a touchdown. New England is up 7-0. We skip towards the end of the first. New England still leading, confidence coming out of Brady, and it's picked off. Confidence leaving Brady. It only led to a field goal by San Diego. They're still down 7-6. Last time Brady threw an interception, this time Brady throws an interception. It's no longer our destiny. San Diego did march down the rest of the short field into the red zone. Breeze with plenty of time and gives the Chargers a 13-7 lead with that touchdown pass. Will the Patriots panic, or will they keep it together? Brady, play action, throws deep, going for it all on this play, and Randy Moss comes down with it, and if you thought he had nothing left in the tank, boy, were you wrong. They're back up 14-13. We're now towards the end of the half. Time is ticking. No timeouts for San Diego. Just outside field goal range. They do not clock it. Breeze throws to the sideline, and it's picked off by Ed Mitchell. And instead of going into the half 14-13, they're going to be down 21-13. It is destiny. Going into the 4th quarter now. New England is maintaining their 24-13 lead. To make matters worse for San Diego, New England would start the quarter at midfield, and Randy Moss would continue to show why he is still a dominant player. Same drive inside the 10, and Brady does a simple pitch and catch to get them up 31-13. The game isn't over, but it looks like it. With 5 minutes left in the game, Breeze throws to his left, and it's picked off by Arrington, who puts the final nail in the coffin. The New England Patriots are going to beat San Diego 38-13, and they're going on to the Super Bowl for the first time in the series. What are the odds? I'm sorry, I'm getting too excited. We'd be in the Super Bowl and against the New Orleans Saints out of all teams. Because we have Sean Payton. It was destiny. Heck, we even beat Drew Brees the game before. Destiny. We're going to start the biggest game of the series in the second half, since nothing important happened other than trading field goals, leading to New Orleans kicking another one before the half. They'll have a 6-3 lead going into the third. We're partway through the third. Brooks hits his fullback in the flat and gets past the sticks, but fumbles it, and it's scooped up by New England, and they take it back for a touchdown. That's the 3rd defensive touchdown in the playoffs for the Patriots. They're now up 10-6. New Orleans fumbled it last time with the fullback, and this time they decided to keep it out of his hands with Ricky Williams. If it works, why stop? They go back to Williams, who makes a juke, breaks the tackle, and gets the first down. Williams is taking a breather, and they're not going to run it. Wrong. They give it to their backup running back and he catches the defense sleeping for another big run. Same drive, third down, they go back to the running back who speeds past for another first down. The ground game is working, but Brooks, he wants to have some fun finding his tight end to get into the red zone. Following play action, pressure all over Brooks, an ugly wobbler, but it's caught at the 2. First and goal, and the Saints decide to throw, but pretty much into the dirt. Second down, they hand it to Ricky, who spins, tries to get to the outside, doesn't get anything. Third and goal, and they sneak it with Brooks, who is met by a wall at the line of scrimmage. So instead of going for it, they're going to kick a field goal, only going to be down by 1. It's now 10-9 New England. All they need to do is run the clock. A lot of clock to run, and this penalty is going to help them. On third down, to keep the ball from New Orleans, clutch throw by Brady and catch by Lewis to keep the drive going. Another third down near midfield, Brady will throw into tight coverage for another clutch catch by Lewis. Immediately after that play, they play action it. Brady is going deep to Lewis again, who makes the catch. The defender misses, and this will make it a 17-9 game. New Orleans still has a chance to at least tie it here, and the pitch to Ricky is blown up, but a penalty will help the Saints. They're now near the 40. They go back to Ricky, who makes a move and gets near midfield. Following the play, they do a pitch to Ricky, who gets just enough for the first down. There are just over 2 minutes left in the game. They go back to Ricky, and this time the defense stuffs him. Now we're at the 2-minute warning. They give the pitch to Ricky, but this time doesn't work. Blown up in the backfield. They rush to the line. Brooks has time to throw, and it's only caught for a yard, forcing a big 4th and 14 next. It comes down to this. Brooks steps up, throws, and it falls incomplete. No, it's not over. New Orleans could get the ball back with a stop here, but the fullback does not go down easily, and that's going to be it. That's the game. New England would run out the clock, and they will become the Super Bowl champions. They had already gone to 4 Super Bowls by this time in real life, but hey, 1 is better than none. We're now going on to the next season, and sadly, I'm going to have to say goodbye to Randy Moss. He helped us get a ring, but for $15 million, yeah, no, that's a pass for me. For the same price, I was able to sign our left guard and our elite right tackle. I also brought back our elite linebacker, and the last re-signing was our kicker, which means 2 big names will not be back in Moss and Damian Woody. Looks like the Steelers are going to sign Randy Moss, and you gotta be kidding me. Bill Belichick is the Steelers coach. He did trade for him while he was in New England, so makes sense. I did skip free agency, and the draft wasn't really the best. I don't have high hopes for a repeat. Is this gonna be the start of a dynasty? Well, I guess when you go 1-5, repeating is gonna be kind of hard. Went from first to last. All a part of the plan. Tom Brady has turned back to, well, Tom Brady. I guess we kind of knew this was going to happen with Moss not on the team. William Atkins must have gotten injured, which makes more sense why the season ended up the way that it did. Surprised it wasn't worse. Even without Moss, the receiving group did pretty well, while the defense continues to be what it's pretty much been. We have at least $100 million in cap space for re-signings, which means William Atkins is back. Mark Lewis is back. Terrell Brady is back. Ted Taylor is back. Mark Davis is back. Edward Fisher is back. Cecile Arrington is back. Antoine Brown is back. Stromile Joyner is back. And just like that, we have $30 million in cap space. And that's because I couldn't bring everyone I wanted back. Plus, I had to skip free agency since I don't really know how expensive the draft is going to be. I nailed the first 2 picks. 2 leaders at quarterback and middle linebacker for the future when Brady eventually retires, because I don't think he has that many years left in him. Now, I did look up getting another weapon for Brady with the leftover money. Randy Moss wanted $25 million. This was the year 2012. No. I did consider trading a first, a second, and one of our players for Torrey Holt, but I decided against it since I might need those picks for the future. Let's see if we can right the ship back to the playoffs here. I'm thinking we may be bad again. Tom Brady has had so many of these type of performances that it just makes me think that having a true number 1 like Moss really is important. I don't know if Atkins can stay healthy anymore. After those 2 MVP seasons, well, caliber seasons, he's been injured, not as good. Again, we have a solid receiving season, but nothing really stands out. I do want to say DWYN Martin will go down as one of the best signings I've ever done. He's been a stud. Tom Brady retired. I mean, I'm not really that shocked. His ratings continue to regress the past 2 seasons, and if there's anything to be proud of, it's that I somehow managed to get him to the Super Bowl. And the other thing to be proud of is that his rating is higher now than it was when he first started. Obviously, he isn't going to be as good as the real Tom Brady, but the fact that he even made the Super Bowl and won with Randy Moss on the team makes him the true GOAT. Thank you guys for watching the video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. It took me longer than I expected it to take, but if you did enjoy, please consider pressing the like button and consider subscribing to keep up to date with any of the videos I upload.